In its journey towards the shrine in the jungle, the boat was already in the first half an hour, wading slowly through the majestic and expansive Vembanada Kayal. Once Vallekka ended her story session, most of the children soon got bored of seeing only the huge expanse of water around. Most of them quickly relocated themselves into the cozy laps of their mothers or elders and were fast asleep. As the sun rose higher on the eastern horizon, the morning breeze also lost most of its stone-piercing chill. The sun rays penetrating through the tiny windows of the boat started casting a spell on the passengers by forcing most of them into a state of drowsiness. While some moved their necks up and down in a strange rhythm, others were busy finding stable shoulders on either side to share the burden of their own heads as their necks had lost its balance. The remaining, a minority, were in deep trance-like situation brought about by a self-induced meditative stage type of snoring that, with its unique cacophony, contrasted with the beautiful symphony of the sounds created when the rowers effortlessly pulled and pushed the long but sturdy bamboo poles deep into the river in their efforts to take the boat forward. Except for the snoring sounds of the people sleeping or the crackling sounds of the water when the boatsmen pulled and pushed the long bamboo poles in and out of the backwaters, there was an eerie silence inside the boat, in that none seems to have noticed the famous landmark of Kochi, the huge bridge the Britishers had built in 1938 that connected Mattancherry to the man-made island called Wellington Island. The bridge has a unique structure with the middle part foldable to make way for the ships or taller boats also pass under it, though not many has seen it happening in their lifetime. After going ahead half an hour more, the boatmen guided the boat to a smaller canal on the right side of the main backwaters towards village side. Gradually, the movement of the boat became smoother but faster, mainly because of the missing of strong undercurrent in the opposite direction. The width of the canal was also drastically reduced, offering much better views of the villages on the banks. The whole area appeared like a lagoon with clear scenic views of lush green vegetation on both sides of the canal. A couple of children who accidentally woke up were pleasantly surprised to see close-up views of the landscape on either side of the boat. They wanted to share that with others. That broke the long silence within the boat. Hearing the commotion, those fast asleep on the mother's laps got up and came running down to the window seats to catch up with the new excitements around. Closely observing both sides of the canal, Babbannu got up and went up to the boatmen to give some instruction and returned. Within the next couple of minutes, the discerning kids noticed that the forward movements of the boat were stopped. It was slowly drifting towards the bank on the left side. Within the next couple of minutes, boat was parked near the bank. "All can please get down here. We will have an interval." Babbannu made an announcement in his booming voice. It was greeted with a noticeable relief on the faces of all elders. By that time, the children had jumped out of their seats and queued up near the exit point of the boat, raring to get down at the earliest. The children were the first to get down from the boat and were soon found easing themselves off at the first available space. Being the brand ambassadors of sustainable farming in their own village, they might have thought it as a privilege to initiate the work of providing the vegetation in the new place, also the much needed but no cost man-made manure NPK. Not to be left behind, the elders also quickly disappeared in different directions behind the cover of the thick bushes to ease themselves off. Those who made themselves comfortable started exploring the surroundings. The place was full of greenery as far as the eyes could see. The village was sparsely populated, with the houses located far and wide from each. Most of the houses appeared to be very small, surrounded with agricultural field. The most noticeable thing was its clean surroundings. The air gently wafting through the chill atmosphere, perhaps filled with the smell of the flowers and the ripe fruits, carried a wonderful aroma with it, attracting the attention of the children immediately. The narrow canal flowing on the western side of the village only enhanced the charm of the village by manifold. But for the occasional noise made by the crickets and the chirpings of the birds, the whole village was filled with a strange silence. As they all looked around in great wonder, Babbanu made another announcement. The Kaava is another 1 hour journey from here. Why can't we have our breakfast here itself? Suggested one male elder. There was sudden glitter on everyone's faces as if they also were eagerly looking forward to the news. Of all the persons, children seemed to be delighted to hear that news. Soon, some of the members went down to the boat and brought back a couple of closed steel vessels. Selecting a good location, they kept the vessels on the ground and requested everyone to sit around it. Like flies hovering around the eatables, the children soon gathered around the food vessels, trying to figure out its content. Fried rice was the right type of breakfast for such occasions. With some deep fried snacks to accompany, nobody seems to be complaining. The children felt that they could eat twice the quantity they generally take in the mornings. They were hungry as they had not taken much since the day before out of excitement of the outing. The elders had foreseen that and ensured that double the normal quantity was served to each. As they ate, there was a perceived lull, but the noise level again went up the moment some of them finished their breakfast and were back to their favorite pastime of wild chatter. Within the next 15 minutes, some of them were ready to explore the surroundings. A couple of beautifully thatched huts in the distance soon caught their attention. They have only heard about such huts in the stories, but had never seen them physically. They asked elders for permission. When it was granted, most of them ran towards the huts. Coming near to one of the first huts, they got a better view of it. They were pleasantly surprised to see the hut was made only of mud walls and dried grass heaped on the wooden frame as a roof. The surroundings of the hut was found to be neatly broomed. The small flower garden in the front courtyard had a variety of plants bloomed with beautiful flowers. As if hearing the commotion outside, an elderly lady came out of the hut to make enquiries. Seeing the pleasantly looking face of the elderly lady, the girl children, keen to have a close look at the hut from inside, sought her permission. When it was immediately granted, all the children quickly made up a bee-line to get inside. By that time, some of the elders also have reached that place. The children found the front veranda a little cramped. The front door was also very small, like it is in their own house. While they, being short in height, had no problem to enter the house, elders would have to bend a little to get inside. Children knew the reasons behind keeping the height of the front door short. For Hindus, the house is a temple, wherein the main room in the house has a deity which is worshipped daily. One need to be humble while entering a place of worship. The short door always ensures that all follow the rule, at least physically. That system seems to have been replicated in villages also, including the huts the children observed. As one by one they got inside the beautiful hut, hardly did they know that more strange things were waiting for them.